the brand new 6th generation RAV4. Needless to say, this is Toyota's most important product here in North America, and it's one of the most sold cars in the United States. I think it's in the top 3. And for this generation, Toyota took the approach of not killing the golden goose. They wanted to improve on what makes the RAV4 the best seller that it is. Its usability, its affordability, and its general reliability. So in this video, we're going to walk you through what this car is like to live with, how it compares to the old RAV4, which we brought along for this test, what the interior space is like, how much it costs, and then walk you through some of the engineering decisions that the Japanese engineering team made for this vehicle. The RAV4 undercuts its closest competitor, the CR-V, when you compare apples to apples. The CR-V does not come as a hybrid as standard. The RAV4 for the 6th generation only comes as hybrid models. You can get the regular HEV model, a series hybrid, or if you want to spend more, you can get a plug-in hybrid. This vehicle starts just over $33,000, and it comes in the regular grades just over $40,000 as a limited trim. The PHEV pricing has not been announced yet, but you can expect it to be more. Usability side of things, let's talk about that first. Obviously, all new sheet metal, but the dimensions of this RAV4 versus the outgoing RAV4 are nearly identical, which means interior cargo capacity, seating room is basically like for like. If you get a non-PHEV current RAV4, you're looking at just over 70 cubic feet of cargo capacity with the rear seat up. When you go to PHEV, you lose a little bit of trunk space. It's like 4 or 5 cubic feet. The rear seat occupants compared to a CR-V get a little bit less legroom, but again, you get more trunk room. But compared to the outgoing RAV4, you get essentially all the same dimensions for the rear occupants other than hip room, which slightly increases. In the front, typical RAV4, reasonable seating position, you sit up nice and high, good visibility, seats are very comfortable for what this vehicle is, of course. In the top trims, they are heated and cooled. In the middle trims and below, they are just heated. And depending on which trim level you get, the level of power adjustment does change. Toyota's done a very good job when it comes to usability, when it comes to nooks and crannies. There's a tiered door storage setup with a cubby pocket below the window controls. You have a great open center console area with different tiered storage. If you go up the trim levels, you get 2 wireless charger pads above, various plugs for all of your charging needs. And for your center console, it can be open from the left or the right, or you can flip it to turn it into a little table. And of course, depending on your trim level, you also get a moonroof. Something to note when it comes to rear occupants. This car does get rear vents, though you do not get a rear climate, though you do get USB plugs in the rear of this vehicle. Now, when it comes to the rest of this cabin, before we talk about the technology, the materials, it's definitely on the harder and plasticier side versus something like a CR-V or a Tiguan, but the key places that you touch are either soft or premium feeling plastics. Now, let's talk about the technology. That's one of the things that Toyota has definitely started to push with this generation. While your dash is nice and low, you do have 2 giant tablets essentially stuck on it. Your gauge cluster is a screen, and your center display, depending on your trim level, is either slightly over 10 inches large or over 12 inches on the higher trim levels. It's running the latest Toyota connected software. It's reminiscent in many ways of how good iDrive is. All the menus require minimal jumping. It's fairly easy to use, but you do lose your physical controls for all your HVAC. In the prior generation vehicle, you had physical fan controls, physical controls for your heated seats, your cooled seats, your heated steering wheel. Everything other than temp up and down and your volume controls and your defrosters are buried in the actual menu, so you have to tip and tap for them. The big thing is the safety suite. This is now running TSS 4.0 across their entire lineup. It's Toyota's latest safety suite, and it is very good. Adaptive cruise control works excellently. All of the various safety warnings work well, and as if you go up the trim levels, you get some of the features that you're expecting in genuine premium luxury cars. You have traffic jam assist, which is dependent on your subscription to Toyota Connected, but allows you to go essentially hands-free in traffic. You have a drive recorder or a dash cam built into these cars. They all work very, very well. Last thing is audio systems. You have 2 grades in this car: Bass, No Name, and JBL. The base audio systems, basically in all Toyota products, are far from good. They're in fact terrible. So if you do care about how good your audio sounds, it is worth going to the JBL. And Toyota for this generation has improved the overall noise floor of the RAV4. They've changed various things we're going to talk about in the shop, but they've also improved the window or door seals to make this a quieter cabin. So If you do like audio, this is not a bad place to be. So let's head in the shop and walk you through what they did from a technical perspective. In the shop with the 6th generation Toyota RAV4. This starts as a 2026 model year. So what do you need to know? Well, if you don't care about any of the technical details I'm about to get into, the core things are the RAV4 is now hybrid only, gone is the old naturally aspirated 4-cylinder paired to a regular automatic gearbox, and in its place is either a regular hybrid system with or without all-wheel drive and an eCVT, or a plug-in hybrid drivetrain. This vehicle is quieter than it used to be, better driving than it used to be, more aerodynamic, more efficient, and more powerful. If you don't care about anything else, that's the key highlight of the 6th generation RAV. Now, how did they accomplish that? Well, first off, they've now split the RAV into 3 distinct experiences. You have the regular RAV4, which covers everything from the base model all the way up to this limited trim. It can be had as standard as a regular hybrid system with or without all-wheel drive. Then optionally, if you pay more, you can get it as a plug-in hybrid. Then you have their off-road lifestyle pillar known as their Woodland grade. Comes standard as a all-wheel drive regular hybrid system. Optionally, it can be had as a PHEV. It gets a unique front and rear fascia, a unique interior space. While it does not get more underbody protection for off-roading, you do get the all-terrain tires and wheels, which increase the ground clearance from 8.1 inches and the regular RAV4 to 8.5 inches, and you get some unique all-wheel drive calibration for some soft roading. Lastly, you have their sporty pillar. It is their GR Sport version. It's not a full GR product. It's not meant to go on the track. It is a PHEV as standard. It makes 324 horsepower. It's lower. It has more taut suspension, so you now only get 7.5 inches of ground clearance. You get wider wheels and tires, so more mechanical grip, a stickier tire, different brakes, and just a sportier looking vehicle inside and out. It's supposed to potentially filter buyers of that vehicle into other GR products in the future. Now, from a body structure perspective, yes, you have all new sheet metal and all new interior space, but they have made changes to TNGA, the global architecture that Toyota uses on basically most of their front wheel drive vehicles. You get more rigid mounting points between the A pillar and the front cowl. You have stiffer mounting points for the D pillar. You have more sound deadening in the wheel wells and in the floors. You get stiffer suspension mounting points for the front and rear suspension. You get different dampers with more friction in them and less friction in the springs. So they're trying to make this more compliant. They have a new electronic brake booster. Toyota is now adopting their version of KPC from Mazda. They are, however, calling it Vehicle Brake Posture Control. They're pairing that with their new steering system. So essentially, they're using the brakes to help reduce body roll in this vehicle to make it feel more nimble. All of this combined makes this a better driving RAV4, and of course you have better aerodynamics as well. This is more efficient than it used to be. It's quieter than it used to be, noticeably quieter than it used to be honest, and just a better driving vehicle. Now, from a drivetrain side of things, you have your 3 configurations: front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and your plug-in hybrid. Let's quickly talk about the plug-in hybrid because it's not out yet. It won't be out till later in 2026, and we don't have it with us. It has a 22.7 kilowatt-hour battery pack. It has an E range, or an all-electric range, of high 40s to low 50s, and it makes 324 horsepower, and it's good for 0 to 60 in like somewhere in the 5s or low 6s. If you want to go quickly in a RAV4, that's your best bet. It's also the most expensive trim level. The regular RAV4s are either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. The front-wheel drive versions make 223, 224 horsepower, more than the outgoing naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, more efficient, more powerful. They do not quote a total system torque. When you go to all-wheel drive, it bumps the horsepower up by 10. You get an electric motor in the back that controls the rear axles. It makes a little less than 80 foot-pounds of torque. It's an on-demand system. From a technical perspective, you have your 2 motor generator units, you have an electric motor in the back, and from the prior generation RAV4 to this one, they've changed the battery technology. In the past, it was a nickel metal hydride battery, and now it's a lithium ion. Essentially, what you need to know is the hybrid drivetrain is essentially bomb-proof. It uses an eCVT with a planetary gear set. It is tried and true Toyota technology. It has a long warranty, and they're going to build a ton of these things. So in the future, if you do need to replace the battery, it should not bankrupt you. And from a running cost perspective, Toyota knows you're buying this thing to keep it. So dampers, springs, wheels and tires, brake pads, the service intervals, all of this is affordable, and that's one of the reasons why the residuals on RAV4s are so strong. So with all that out of the way, we're gonna drive the old RAV4 and the new RAV4 to walk you through the differences and what this thing's actually like to live with.
It's nice of you to invite me into this video, Jack. I've been dying to get into the old and new RAV4.
XLE, non-hybrid, ooh, yeah!
If you spill my matcha on this thing, somebody's gonna die. So you've driven this car. This is your own car.
Yes, this is my wife's vehicle. She bought 5 years ago. It now sort of just sits in the driveway, but it has 83,000 miles. She bought it while she was in her medical school program.
Non-hybrid?
Non-hybrid. She wanted something like most RAV4 buyers do when they buy a vehicle. They want something that lasts forever, costs nothing to own, very little expensive maintenance required. All you need to do is swap on winter tires like Blizzaks in this time of year, or a good set of all seasons from Bridgestone.
And how many problems have you had with this thing?
0.
Come on, you're a liar.
Not a single problem. Has it been a particularly good vehicle to drive? No. Has it been the most refined vehicle? No. But what it does well is it just eats up miles. 0 problems and 83,000 miles.
So what's the high points of you driving this and the low points before we drive the new car?
There are very few high points, as this is a RAV4. It dynamically was nowhere as good as most of its classmates, to be honest, in this spectrum, right? It isn't the most refined. It isn't the best steering. It does return, even as an NA car. This is the non-hybrid, over 30 miles a gallon. Driving well past 80 miles an hour for long highway drives. That's impressive. And the overall usability from an interior side, I've put wheels and tires in this. We've carried our dog. You know, this is something that I think I understand why, you know, my wife bought this thing. She loves the fact that it is a total appliance. It's just not as refined as its competitors, and as the rest of the market around this vehicle, the new CR-Vs, the new Tiguans of the world, the CX-50, all of the other vehicles in this class, they may not have the bomb-proof perception or reliability, or necessarily all the usability of this cabin, but all the other cars have gotten more refined, better to drive, and much better interior technology.
I'll be curious to see, with all your complaints about this that you've just rifled on to me.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Toyota heard all of that, went back into time, and developed the new RAV4 with you in mind, Jack.
All right, well, you know, me and my bouginess, Mark. It's not a 911 GT3 RS.
You know, Jack, when I was in Japan for 3 days talking to Honda, I realized that all the Toyotas there were going hybrid.
This is between your attendance of anime conventions as well?
Yeah. I was one of the chief engineers for the next anime convention. That's where I learned about Toyota's future.
And the way of the samurai all at once?
Yeah. I learned how to be a samurai
just like Tom Cruise.
Yeah. I'm the American samurai, which is why I'm driving the brand new RAV4, and we're talking about whether or not this has changed the way you feel about the RAV4 and their improvements they made. So let's start with your opinion.
It's better in every way than the last car.
Okay, so the video's over?
Yeah, I mean, just as I mentioned in the shop segment and in the beginning of this video, their whole point was to take a formula that was getting a bit old, but tried and true, a reliable box that does everything well enough for you to have complete confidence in this car, and then they refined it. It is at least a couple dB quieter than the version that we own, or I own. It is a better interior space. They added even more nooks and crannies. The interior software works pretty well despite losing some of the physical controls. The safety suite's great. The hybrid drivetrain is essentially perfected. You still have a rattly 4-cylinder, but most of the time you never notice it's there. The eCVT does a good job with fake shifts and not getting in the way. And while you lose, at least in the higher trims, a true mechanical differential in the back, in the case of like the Limited and the TRDs, most of the time you don't care. It works great. It is an entirely acceptable vehicle that rides better than it used to. It's quieter, it gets better fuel economy, better interior space. I don't think it looks better, but it's a good vehicle. They've evolved it in every way they needed to.
Yeah, so what about the people that don't want hybrids, that just want a tried and true internal combustion engine?
You lose, but all the other...
The question is if you're phobic of that, would this be an issue going to this?
No. I mean, Toyota, the one thing you can say they've done well and have not screwed up, unlike their V6 twin turbo, is the reliability of their 4-cylinder hybrid drivetrain that has been in everything for a long time, and this is just an evolution of that. And to my knowledge, at least of this video when we're filming it, the implementation of the lithium-ion improvement or iterative change from the prior gen has been pretty much faultless. And yes, you'll have to replace the battery at some point in the future, well past 100,000 miles. But just like the current gen hybrids, it's not a total deal breaker. It's, I mean, I think sooner or later it'll be $1,500, $3,000 to replace the battery.
Yeah, much like the previous generation. So the 4th gen was, nickel metal hydride, so they moved here to lithium-ion battery, which makes it, more power dense. Really, that's the main reason. You don't need as much battery to do the same thing. You can deliver more power, and you definitely notice it here. I don't want to say that this is definitely a slower vehicle, but because of the hybrid part of it, if you're coming from the naturally aspirated Toyota 4-cylinder to this, the refinement level is much higher because it's doing less with the gasoline engine. It doesn't stress it as much. So you're relying more on the electric motors to propel you in some of these like mid-throttle points where I'm like, I need to get going. I'm not hearing the gasoline engine as much because of the hybrid system.
And it's more powerful than the prior vehicle too, or at least the internal combustion version.
Yes, so you're getting the benefit of the torque from the electric motors. It's quieter, it's more refined. It just feels like a more relaxed driving experience versus the car we just got out of. It definitely feels like something that's kind of reminds me of a $20,000 rental car thing. It feels like you really have to beat it. It's rattly. This doesn't have the same problems. And while what you said is true, this is a definitely more quiet vehicle as we're sitting next to a
very loud
dump truck. This overall is the vehicle that I'd rather put more miles on and spend a lot more time with. But there are some slight caveats to that. Because it is quieter now, the structure of this car is still the same platform improved.
Yeah,
so what I'm picking up
TNGA.
on TNGA K, which is shared across everything, Camry and all that. You pick up, because the airborne noise is reduced from the previous gen, you hear the structure-borne or the low-frequency booming, and you can hear it over certain pavement types. It's like this flutter of low-frequency booming. That's the only negative thing I can say from the overall refinement of this compared
which
to
still
the other
exists in the other car. You just couldn't hear it because of all the other noises associated with the general driving experience of that vehicle. I will say, compared to the other cars in this class, how do you think, if you're buying a CR-V or some of the other vehicles that you're probably going to cross-shop this with, how does it compare?
I mean, the thing that you're buying this for, really, in my perception, is you might be on the fence about a car that you don't know what to get, and you want to buy something that's going to hold its value, and you want to keep it long term. You don't want to be going in and out of this cycle of, I'm going to keep it for 3 or 4 years and flip it. This is really the best vehicle of the bunch, where you look at it from a long-term perspective. This car is going to be in my family for 10, maybe even 15 years or longer, and all the things that it does well makes me believe that this car is the one that I would still continue to recommend people buying for that very reason. Now, does it have the wow factor of like the Hyundais and Kias, or like the new Tiguan, or in some cases the Mazda CX-50 in terms of styling? No, it doesn't. But I still think overall, for 90% of what people are really, really utilizing this for, fuel economy, no running costs, great interior space and usability, that's what this delivers, and that's why it's always going to be high on the list until they screw this up, and they haven't.
At least not yet.
Right, yeah.
My last thought, I'll say, and we do have an upcoming group comparison test now that these are all sort of current. I think dynamically, if you're looking for none of these are engaging to drive, but there are more refined vehicles in its class. I think this is a highlight of focusing on the utilitarian needs of a compact SUV.
Agreed. Well, I'm going to get in the final thoughts, Jack.
All right.
So here we are, the conclusion. We compared the old RAV4 to the new one, and since Jack is a RAV4 man, much like he's a jazz man, he pulled the strings of this vehicle to find out what it was good and bad at. And big shock, the new one's better. Despite its technology advancements, Toyota knows exactly where to change the things it needs to and not mess with the things that worked great in the past. So the interior space, despite its reliance on technology and more touch approach to daily functions, they knew by data logging a lot of their old cars, they could remove some of these physical controls, but keep the things that people still like. And usability-wise, it's hilarious. Like the door handles turning into garbage cans. There's a place to put everything in this car. And as you're driving it every single day and some of the shiny parts wear off, you want to make sure that the tenets of what you're buying an appliance vehicle like this for work. It's not the most attractive. It's not the most quiet or refined driving vehicle. The doors don't open in 90 degrees, which is kind of a downer. And there's other things that it can't compete with compared to like the Tiguan and CR-V. But I think it blends all of the things together better than pretty much any other brand has been able to do thus far. And that's why the new RAV4 is just better in every way. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.